It may sound wild, but
I wake up to the sounds of the silence that allows for my mind to run around with my ear up to the ground. I'm searching to behold the stories that I told when my back is to the world. Was smiling when I turned. Just
I try to the top, I've been out of shape, thinking out of box, I'm an astronaut. I'm blasting off the planet, rocking the cause catastrophe, and it matters more because I had it, now I had it. Part of my freaking had to go in opposition, kinda shocking, they run static with precision. I'm automatic, quarterback,
Death Star. What is good, Raider Nation? Welcome back to yet another episode of Raiders Live News Talk. I'm joined by my friends, as always, AJ, Cortez, Al's Ghost, Noah, and May. Say what's up, everybody.
What's up,
Viva
Raider
Las
Nation?
Jimmy, Raider Nation.
Yo, salute.
Let's go, Jimmy. Let's go, Jimmy.
Salute.
Man, fuck.
All right, so
Hey,
as always,
hey, Jeff.
Yo, what's up?
Just to let you know, I can't do it real quick right now because I'm on my phone. That's where I have it all.
Okay, all right, I'll post them in a second, no problem.
My
So
bad,
as
bro.
always, we got another great episode for you guys. Thank you to the members of this panel for joining me tonight. Thank you to the mods in the chat for holding it down. We wouldn't be able to do this show without you guys, as always. And last but not least, thank you to our viewers for commenting and watching along with us as we begin our show. We got another great one for you guys, as always. Just a quick reminder before we get started, as Cortez and I were just talking about, we have several links for you guys that we'd like you to check out when you get a chance. In particular, it's a link to our YouTube channel, our Twitch channel, our Instagram, and our Discord. So in a second, we'll be posting the links to all four of those platforms. But as always, when you guys get a chance, if you could check out those URLs, and for the YouTube channel, like this video, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Follow our Twitch as well when we post to Twitch. Follow us on Instagram and give us some likes. That'd be much appreciated. And last but not least, join our Discord. Our Discord is a great community. We have all kinds of things going on in there. We have a Raiders chat. We have just a general NFL chat. We have just a general chat where we talk about life in general. We have free giveaways. We have movie nights sometimes. We have fantasy leagues, both NBA and NFL. We talk about the NFL, NBA, NHL, other sports as well. So we got all kinds of stuff going on in there. So we'd love for you guys to join us in the Discord as well. It's sort of the heart of what we do. And you can just find everything else that we're connected to in that community as well. So like I said, if you guys could check out those links when we put them in the comment section, just keep an extra eye out for them because it helps us out tremendously when you guys, tab in with us through those platforms. So without further ado, let's get started with our show. So obviously, the free agency, the league year of the 2023 NFL league year has began earlier today. And the biggest news as far as to hit Raider Nation is concerned, the Raiders have signed former Patriots and 49ers quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo to a multi-year deal. much to the dismay as well as the excitement of many fans of Raider Nation. And so because of that, that's going to be our first topic. I mean, we're also going to go get into the other free agents that the Raiders have signed, as well as other moves that we think they might make, not only through free agency, but through potentially trades or through the draft. But like I said, because the biggest piece of news is that Jimmy G is a Las Vegas Raider.
Oh, what happened?
What up, y'all? Yeah, some technical difficulties.
Oh, there you are. There you
Yep.
are.
Yeah, you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah,
we could hear you.
Stupid ass malfunction. So like I said, without further ado, our first topic of the day is Jimmy G is a Las Vegas Raider. So why don't we just go around the panel and talk about our feelings on it, what we think this means for the franchise, not only if Jimmy G is going to be our starter moving forward, or if he's going to be somewhat of a backup eventually to another quarterback, such as a rookie we might draft moving forward. Why don't we just go around and give our thoughts on this situation, how it impacts the team? AJ, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. And the thing about this Jimmy Garoppolo move, we've been hearing about it a lot. And personally, I really like this move because it's like you see how the quarterback market has evolved over the years, seeing guys getting up north of 30, 40, even $50 million. And it's like to be able to get a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo on like a $20 million deal is, I feel like it's somewhat of a steal. Like it's a great contract move. And I hear everyone saying like it's like, oh, you're going from Derek Carr to Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, how does that help at all? Like, it cuts a lot of money because with Carr's contract, it's like Carr's contract is double of what Garoppolo's is now. And also, the thing that I've been hearing about Jimmy Garoppolo's contract, it's like 3 1-year deals. So based on that, it seems like the Raiders can opt out at any time. But the thing about the contract, I feel that I don't think that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be spending all 3 years of his contract in the silver and black. But it's a great move. Like if you want to still go out and get a quarterback in the draft, you don't have to utilize that seventh overall pick and be like, we have to get our guy at number 7. And it's like, it's just really like what Ziegler and McDaniel's been talking about. They're exploring all options. Doesn't matter what the position is. It's building, just building like depth, building cornerstone pieces for the future of this organization.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, honestly, for me, when I first heard about the deal, I mean, at first the fact that they were signing him, I wasn't too upset about. I sort of viewed it as a better Jared Stidham when he's healthy, of course. That's obviously the big asterisk. Then I was more upset when I saw the number initially, the grand total. And then I became less upset about it again once I saw the amount that was guaranteed. Um, so I've kind of gone back and forth about my feelings on it throughout the day. And honestly, my position up to now that I've thought about it a great deal all throughout the day, is that, um, because of the number and because of the financially the commitment they're making to him in terms of as indicated by the terms of the contract, it seems like he is going to be the starter for at least 2 years, which does trouble me because, if we're talking about rolling the dice on a guy who, like I said, first and foremost has the injury question mark attached to him and probably always going to be attached to him for the rest of his career because of his history over the past several years, that's a big gamble. Second of all, I don't exactly hate the move as long as we're going to draft a rookie quarterback. And we'll get into that conversation as well, because that's also another big conversation that needs to be had as far as how that's all going to play out. But if they do draft a prime rookie quarterback to sort of sit behind and watch Jimmy G, especially a guy who's a veteran who knows the system, who has a relationship with McDaniels, I don't necessarily have an issue with it. It's just that I would say the one problem I would have with it is that if Jimmy G stays healthy and he's the starter for several years down the road, my fear is that we're going to be having basically a Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers situation where, first of all, if you're going to stick with one guy as your quarterback, as your starter, then you're going to want to surround him with other things like weapons, not necessarily another quarterback. So first and foremost, that's troublesome. But second of all, if the future is ultimately um, supposed to have this rookie quarterback be the future of your franchise, you worry whether or not his confidence, whatever he has going into the NFL, will erode based on the fact that he won't be able to play for several years. Like I said, if Jimmy G remains healthy, if he doesn't and he's injured, then the rookie quarterback will obviously get some starter reps and will actually get real game experience, which is a conversation for another day. But for him to take up this amount of cap as an as an injury prone quarterback, who probably won't give the rookie a chance to start long term. It's difficult for a lot of people to get their wrap their minds around. I understand that's difficult. So, I mean, we'll have to see how it goes moving forward. Ray, was there anything you wanted to add?
Well, hold on. One thing real quick. I hate to
Yeah,
interrupt, but there was one thing that I wanted to say that I just thought about.
yeah,
I feel like now with the Raiders getting Jimmy Garoppolo, I feel like they did that after seeing the Panthers move up to first overall, because it's like picks one, like the teams in picks 1, picks 2, and also pick 4th overall, they all need quarterbacks. So I feel like it's the counter that. So if the Raiders still want to go the quarterback at number 7 route, they could still go and take an Anthony Richardson who doesn't have much experience and help groom him under Jimmy Garoppolo.
yeah. I mean, as far as like I said, as far as drafting a quarterback goes for this team, um, I think that first and foremost, just once again, the idea of having Jimmy G isn't bad. Although when you think about the actual details in terms of the contract, it doesn't seem like Jimmy G is going to be a short-term sort of veteran for the rookie to sit behind and watch. That would make more sense if this were a one-year deal, which to me would make more sense. But as far as drafting a quarterback goes, as I've said and as we've talked about, for months now, the situation in my mind was that we had to watch out for Houston, Indianapolis, and maybe Seattle, because before Seattle decided to bring Geno back, it was looking like maybe they could, given their draft position, go for like a top 3 quarterback in the draft. Now that they've brought Geno back, they themselves have been neutralized, and so I think for a week or two we were sort of happy because it felt like in terms of the quarterback um, rankings, we sort of moved up a spot and we felt like we could at least lock in a Will Levis, if not maybe an Anthony Richardson, depending on who McDaniels and Ziegler like more. In other words, they had more options as far as like a top quarterback prospect went. But now that we have the Panthers trading up, not only do we now have to worry about Carolina, Houston, and Indianapolis, we're back to square one, right? Because now we're probably in the fourth in terms of quarterback prospect rankings. There are teams behind us as well that could very well move up, to draft a quarterback. I mean, the prime draft spot right now is Arizona's at number 3. Because obviously, Houston and Carolina are not like, as well as Indianapolis, not likely to give up their pick simply because they're going to want to draft a quarterback with that. But teams behind us, prime among them, I would say Atlanta and Tennessee, who could, really, it really seems like they could use a quarterback of the future. They could leapfrog us, at least one of those teams could leapfrog us. And then we're really starting to, look, it's really starting to look like we're going to have to scramble as far as drafting a quarterback. So if it is the case that, as you said, AJ, this signing Jimmy G was just, this is going to be our quarterback solution for the mid to long-term future. This is our guy, and we're going to, spend our 7th-round pick on something else to build a team around him. That definitely seems like a possibility. And it's, like I said, it's not a possibility I'm particularly excited about, especially because if Jimmy G does go down, as far as right now is concerned, our QB1 would be Chase Garbers. So right now the situation is not ideal. Ray, was there anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, man. Let's just get this started with what the hell? No, I'm just playing. So when I heard about Jimmy G, at first I think everybody was like, "What the hell? Like, are you serious?" And at first I was really thinking like, this dude's about to be so trash. This dude has a 10-2 record with no passing touchdown, and like I know for a fact that's not gonna happen. We're not gonna sit here and let Jacobs just take all the dirty work. But I mean, like I was like when I started looking into it about Jimmy G, like okay, this guy was pretty good. Like here's the thing though. What people didn't know, or I don't know, people knew, is that one of the reasons why they traded Jimmy G. This is like going back to New England. When he was back in New England and he was playing really well, Tom Brady was supposed to get out of there because Bill Belichick wanted to work with Jimmy G, and Brady was having none of that. So that's why they shipped out Jimmy, because Jimmy was playing hella good. So I mean, now I know he has Josh with him, and I know maybe Josh can develop around him, even though like he's like kind of like a Jared Stidham, which honestly I was really wishing that we kept Stidham. I would have taken Stidham over Garoppolo, at least given Stidham a chance, because the money, I feel like we could have gave him that money right there and then. I don't know what the problem was or anything like that, but I mean, at the end of the day, we just gotta look forward to it. With Jimmy, we gotta see how he does, you know. And I like how people like to talk about how Devontae is gonna be like, oh, he wants to leave and this and that. He shut that shit right down on social media. Devontae said he's ready to work with him. He's already intrigued. He's ready for it. So I mean, we just gotta see how it looks. You know, I'm pretty sure Jimmy can get it done. He has a lot of talent. This is like almost as good as San Francisco's. Top 10 offensive line, top 3 receiver in the league, top 5 back, top 5 tight end. Pretty good offensive line. Just I'm curious what they're gonna do now regarding maybe a possible wide receiver 2 in free agency if they're looking at it. And probably work on defense, because I know they picked up Marcus Epps, which we'll probably get into later. But regarding Jimmy G, honestly, and like my last thing, I probably just say like the whole contract thing. I like how they worked out his contract. You know, you guys kind of told me off camera or off live about how he was only making like 16 to 17 plus the signing bonus and plus like the roster thing. But everything else like that, the contract was really well. I guess like how it is like, you know, it's not a name thing. It's just how the player produces in a scheme and stuff like that, you know? So I'm just wondering how it's going to go.
Yeah, it's it is interesting how it'll play out. As far as what you said about the Jimmy G New England situation, the other thing I would say to keep in mind is that they also had Jacoby Brissett who came in and relieved Jimmy. What?
They shipped them out as well. They send them to Indy because when they lost Luck.
Right, exactly, and I was going to say, the reason I bring up Brissett is that what I worry about with Jimmy G is to what extent was.
Hey, let me answer in real quick.
Hold on for a second. Let me just finish this point, and I'll get right back to you, Cortez. So, the thing I worry about with Jimmy G is to what extent is his success due to Kyle Shanahan, right? I mean, this is a team who for several years he was the quarterback, yes, and he did make some key throws, and he even had some good games statistically, but by and large, you had a run first, run based offense, where he was basically a game manager. And then when you compare him to Brissett, because you could view it as the two, Brissett and Garoppolo just took two different paths, and Garoppolo just got luckier in the sense that he had really good head coaching and winning culture to walk into, whereas Brissett, who didn't have that, when he, I guess you could argue that he was exposed in the sense that when he was left to his own devices, he never really turned out to be the quarterback that we thought he was.
And that's the thing too, Jeff. I agree with you completely.
Hey, let me chime in real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I think the Niners ran their players into the ground, and I think Gruden's gonna get Jimmy Garoppolo right, and I don't think there'll be injuries. The Niners just run their players to the ground. They don't care.
And here's the thing. their system is where to a point where like they can even have
And going back
they
to
can
that,
have Brock
Marsh,
Purdy in a
Marsh,
successful system over Jimmy Garoppolo. And that just shows like any quarterback right now can fit in that Niners system because Kyle Shanahan could work around it. Because like you've seen this season, even with Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, still like a systematic quarterback, still like finding a way to have an involvement with McCaffrey, George Kittle, Debo, and Ayuk. And even though they're top players in the league, they're still like that quarterback. People thought he shouldn't even be on the team. Like they thought, like they didn't even have a chance. Like Trey Lance was hurt, they had to sit there with them. And the fact that Kyle Shanahan was able to build off of him, even with Jimmy and stuff like that, he made Jimmy a pretty good quarterback. Jimmy did pretty well in that 1 year. He went to the Super Bowl. After that, battled injuries and overall he just wasn't the best. So and they knew how to scheme around that.
Right, and the
yeah,
I
I'm
will
just happy
say-
with the whole deal.
Worst case scenario, if Jimmy G can't produce on this team, I'm pretty sure Josh knows how to work around it.
And there's one more thing I want to throw out there. How many weapons did he have with the Niners?
I mean,
He had a lot.
He had a lot.
Not no number
Funny
one like
question.
he does here now.
I mean, that's the thing though. But here's the thing, Cortez. I think Dustin
believe
said
in
a
Jimmy
while
G.
ago is like there really shouldn't be a number one. Anybody should just get fed the ball on, or shouldn't just be fed the ball. It's just all at random, There's like this year when we had like Devontae had a couple good games, then you have a Mac Hollins game, then you have a Darren Waller game, Josh Jacobs game, Renfro game. You never know, right? So I feel like that's kind of like there's a difference when you're coming from the Niners system and the Raiders system, because I feel like
I just still feel like Shanahan ran his players to the ground.
He did. He definitely did. That's I think
why
one
Jimmy
of the
G
things
got these
Debo
injuries.
complained about.
Nice picture.
What do you mean? Like they took
Because
too many
at first
steps?
I'm pretty sure Debo wasn't
Debo,
in it
like
for the whole thing when he was when they converted him to do that Debo package at first.
at running back, wide
ball and
receiver.
stuff.
That
I
could
think like because they ran him through the ground in the
and then
playoff
plus
year.
the dirt,
I feel like because he knew
rollout
that.
too for
Remember when he had that
quarterbacks?
whole contract thing? He was
Because
like, he's like, I should be getting good money if I'm going to be doing all these things for him being versatile and stuff like that.
Yup.
and the rollouts too, because once the
Mm-hmm.
rollout happens, it's no offensive lineman. If you're going out that way, it's you and a defensive player.
And Kyle Shanahan schemed Debo, bro. He's a scheme fit. For those that don't know that, Debo
scheme fit,
Samuel
for sure.
is not even a good route runner. He's a good yards after the catch type of player. That's why he's always there.
And the thing with
jet sweeps, wide receiver screens, stuff like that.
With Jimmy G, he's gonna have slants. Devontae loves slants. And that's where all the yardage after contact's gonna happen. And we know that he doesn't have an arm.
Good slot receiver too, man.
Yeah, see? Who did he have as a good slot receiver over there? Jennings?
You didn't really have a slot receiver out there. No, not really.
Does Emmanuel Sanders count for like those few years they were there? Like 2019 and 2020?
I mean, like that team, who they have? They had Sanders, Goodwin, Debo.
Yeah, Marquise Goodwin was there in 2017 when Garoppolo got there. Like, that taps the cap or something.
He was there during the Super Bowl. But he was out for the season, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but like I said, he was there in 2017 when he was there getting, in Shanahan's system, and he got the Niners off to that 5-game winning streak to end the year. So, he's had weapons. Well, at least early on, he was very variable in how effective he could be. He was
did
reliable.
that shit in Atlanta
And
too,
the crazy
bro.
thing is he has he's won championships, maybe as a backup, and he's made it to the Super Bowl without New England.
He went to the Super Bowl twice.
Yeah.
Okay, well, put that in perspective, though. He had the number one defense like both years.
But let's go back when he first got there. Their defense was 25th, I believe.
Right, in 2017, yeah.
Yes. It's hit and miss.
That whole team was a rebuild, though. Ever since that Super Bowl, took him a while to rebuild.
And to be honest, I believe he's gonna fit our system perfectly. He's gonna have a good season with us.
Can I jump in on this, Jeff, real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
Go ahead.
Go for it.
Go for it.
Yeah, I'm not as positive as Ray or Cortez. So if they're selling optimism, I'll go ahead and buy some. I think this is a dark day in Raider Nation, and for me, it's pretty simple. Is Garoppolo an upgrade over Derek Carr? I think the answer is no.
It's literally
Wait,
a mirror, but I feel like
guys, just a second, just a real quick second. Give me like 30 seconds to a minute. Is he an upgrade over Derek Carr? I don't think so. Is he as durable as Derek Carr? Heck no. And that's actually one of my biggest concerns. I think come week 8, we're going to be looking for a backup to run this system. And I mentioned that this was a dark day in Raider Nation. We let Stidham go to a division rival.
Right.
For
We weren't gonna
peanuts.
pay Stidham wanted that money. Why would you pay him for 2 years?
Cortez, like we don't have right now. We don't have
Chase
a viable
Garber's been in the system for a year. I give all hopes to
we
him
had
to be the
we had
backup. Right?
Stidham, and we had Stidham, who had been 4 years into the system, going into his 5th. And one thing is for sure, actually,
Reed Ozzy's down at the bottom. He says that we got more weapons.
Three things are certain in life: death, taxes, and Garoppolo getting injured. That's what I know.
Like I just explained to you guys.
I'm telling you,
we got a good,
Cortez.
healthy training.
I'm telling you, Cortez. Like
I know you saw those report cards.
Like you look at the last like 2-3 years, like this guy is perpetually
Hey, that's why I
injured.
brought up stupid Shanahan. Shanahan's gonna drain all the quarterbacks. He's gonna get them all hurt up.
Hold on, Algo. So let me interrupt for a second. Cortez, that is ridiculous to say that
I'm just going with that.
because of our trainers, because of some report card we got, they're going to prevent him from
ranked top 3 in that thing.
They're going to like what you think they're just going to like build a fourth
Hey,
field
just
around him
believe
when
in
they
what
hit the field?
if Jimmy G could get us
I
wins.
completely agree with
I
you.
bet
though,
you
bro.
we'll all switch our attitude if he gets
So
us
Cortez.
wins.
So
If he
Cortez.
gets us
that's the
wins.
So,
Yeah,
so
go ahead.
Cortez,
Sorry, Algo. Sorry to interrupt. Go
No,
ahead.
I was just gonna say, Cortez. I wouldn't be surprised if this dude gets injured in his introductory press conference. Like he's made out of glass. Like he's injured.
Oh, there you go with
all
negativity.
I don't want to be that.
Hey,
telling you, dude,
that's
week
why
6,
somebody's
week
on here
7.
that's a big fan of another quarterback no longer on our team. That's why he still thinks our team is horrible. I think we're moving in the right direction.
So I hope I'm wrong. Actually, like I hope I'm wrong. I hope Jimmy succeeds. I hope he's healthy. I don't wish, this guy to get injured at
just
all
back
or
up
whatever.
he's our quarterback now. Now we just got to back him up. Like
But
you got to have faith in
but
him.
I'm also a realist. And I know people are saying, hey, you know what? His contract is reasonable. We're not paying him a shit ton of money. But if he's playing 8 games a year, guys, that's a pretty expensive contract.
Right.
Yep.
Think about it. Like if he's only playing 8 games a year, and that's pretty much like on average what he's been playing the past couple of years. And I feel like when a player gets the injury bug, I've been watching football since I was a little kid. When these players get the injury bug, like they're just, injury prone. Some guys are just, unfortunate that way. And I think I don't think Jimmy is a horrible quarterback or a bad quarterback. I think he could succeed in this system. I think he could facilitate the offense. But at the end of the day, I see more negatives than I do positives. And for that reason, I think that we're in a dark place, especially because now you have
those question. So sorry to cut you off, but I was gonna say, so I know you might say like, he's a injury prone and stuff like that. So then I'm curious, do you think the Raiders are gonna go for a quarterback in the draft then? Not possibly first round or maybe like second, third, whatever they're looking at. Because if you want to play it by that way, say if Jimmy were to be out, wouldn't you think maybe the quarterback? I understand like it's not a lot of time to learn the system. So I mean, I don't know. It's hard. Honestly, it's really hard. I feel like Jimmy, he can really fit in the system well, and I understand that. It's just, and I completely agree with you. Like this is hard, and how he's very injury prone. We can't trust him to be on the field all the time and stuff like that. But I want to laugh.
Let
at
me just
Cortez
go
for
over
what he
his
said,
stats
but-
real quick with you guys.
I was
So
actually going to go over that, but go ahead.
Yeah,
No,
his
no,
numbers.
Go, Jeff.
His numbers are solid, Cortez. Yeah, and he has like a high win percentage and all that. But
Well, look at his
as-
new weapons now. Let me just
but-
explain the new weapons real quick.
but as people say, right, Cortez? I mean, context is everything, and I think Jeff
What
explained
happens
this
if
and
he
someone
comes
else.
out? I just want to know, would you change your thing if he comes and lead us to the playoffs? How would you
Dude,
feel?
I would. He just needs to show something.
Like if he could stay healthy the whole year and win us some games, and to
So
be honest, with the rings and everything, he's the second best quarterback in our division.
So
You know why I say that?
So Cortez,
You know why I say that? Is
Go for
because
it.
Sherbert has never been in the playoffs,
He
What are
was
you
last
talking
year.
about? He was in the playoffs,
but
last year, dude.
lost.
What are you
He's
talking
never
about?
won in the
Yeah, he
playoffs.
choked. He
Wait, so
did
you just
choke.
said he never went to
What did
playoffs?
Jimmy G do? He made it to the Super Bowl with the Niners. He's made it to the Super Bowl with New England a couple times.
Dude,
Cortez.
even Russell Wilson may be better than
No.
Jimmy G with,
Oh, but let me say this about Jimmy
No.
G
with his
real
new
quick.
head coach.
Let me say this about Jimmy G real quick. You guys remember that 2019 NFC Championship game?
Yeah.
He only
With
threw
the
the ball
Packers, yeah.
8 times in that game.
Yeah, I was
And they
going to
won.
say, yeah.
4 touchdowns to Raheem Mostert.
For real.
Yeah.
That was a
And guys-
legacy game.
Guys, you guys have to remember, like Jimmy G has never thrown for over 4,000 yards in his career
We
He's-
have a top running back too. Like you got to understand. Like
for a
You
year,
Thing with
can't
Jimmy,
run him
though,
into
he's
the
always been a
ground
system-
either.
and
Here-
hopefully
throw
he
it
plays.
around.
Jimmy,
he's never
Jimmy's
had
a
a
systematic
Devontae Adams
quarterback.
in his career.
Yeah, he
And
is.
Cortez regarding
He's
the
never
running
had a
back,
Devontae in his career.
regarding
but
the
Cortez,
wait,
you can't say that because Jimmy's throughout his entire career, he's never been that Patrick Mahomes type of guy. He's a systematic quarterback.
Well, we're gonna see this year what happens.
And I was also going
I'm
to say
still gonna
regarding
be
the
behind
running
them.
back. Regarding the running back guys, we're
So now
taking
we
it-
went
wait
from
up,
some.
Cortez,
We're gonna
just a
have
second.
this divide throughout every quarterback. Some's gonna like.
So Cortez, just a second. So regarding the running back, we're all taking it as a given, as if JJ is gonna suit up and fucking play. He could sit out. He could not play
I
under
don't
the
think
tag.
so.
He
I don't
could
think
sit
so.
out. Like
Not
we
only-
shouldn't
not only
assume
that-
that he's playing. We shouldn't assume that.
Not only that, when we talk about the Niners running backs, you got to remember all their running backs are systematic. You can't just say Josh Jacobs and Zamir White and Brandon Bolden. They had motherfucking Matt Breida, Tevin Coleman, Raheem Mostert, Christian McCaffrey, Jeff Wilson, Elijah Mitchell, all
I still
schematic
have
running
faith.
backs. They all fit that system. So I feel like the running over here is really just Jacob's like whole part. I've never seen anybody else put in much as ever as him. Zamir White can't read a goddamn defense.
Hey guys, so I'll put it to you this way. So why is it? And I know that Cortez is eternally positive, and he already has his Garoppolo jersey. I know that.
Yeah.
But why is it? Why
Yep.
is it? He already stitched the number 10 numbers and all that.
Hey,
Cut some jersey already.
Hey, I switched out the 4 for the 10, and
he got
slapped
the 10
Carr's
tatted on his
name
arm and
over
shit.
it says Garoppolo now.
Jeff, you gonna buy a jersey?
He
Oh,
got
yeah.
a number 10 tatted. But check this
Hey,
out, guys.
hey, you guys all know how I feel about Carr. I'm happy
Yeah.
he's gone.
So
We're moving
Cortez,
on.
here's a question, guys, and Ray, and for the rest of the panel. So I live up here in the Bay. I've been up here pretty much my entire adult life, and so I know a lot of Raider fans. I would say I'm like 15 minutes away from Santa Clara, by the way. So most of my coworkers are actually Niner fans. So why is it that today, when the news broke, everyone is making fun of me because now we have Garoppolo? Why are they laughing at Raider
But
fans?
hey, let me.
Why
I've
are
been
they
getting that.
laughing?
I've been getting that
They
all
did not-
day, bro.
Why are they
But the
laughing?
crazy-
Why are they?
Hey,
they're laughing at you.
Hey,
Cortez,
bro,
and we
the
don't
thing
know,
is,
dude. They're laughing
they
at
may
you.
be laughing at us, but Jimmy G knows the offense that he's going into. A better offense than what he was in San Francisco.
Cortez,
Debatable.
they are
That's
ridiculing
debatable.
you right now. Like no one, like
That's kinda hard.
these Niner fans. are
Let the
fucking-
Niner fans hate us. They're gonna just make fun of us because we take their players.
Do you
Like, I
think
heard
they
one
feel?
today
Do you
say,
think they feel bad
when
or
you guys
salty?
took Michael Crabtree, what were you guys? Just a good he had just a good regular season? Who cares what other
No, dude. When it came to Crabtree and Alden Smith, like my Niner friends, dude, like they were salty. They were like,
yeah,
"Hey,
I'm
you guys are
glad
getting some
that the
solid
previous
players."
quarterback is out of here. He deserves to be gone.
Well, I just want to let you know, dude, those guys are laughing at us.
Who cares? I don't care if Niner fans laugh. Let
If he
them
was
laugh.
if he was a good player, they wouldn't be laughing, dude. That's my point. That's my point.
He did not fit their system anymore.
I think what Al's Ghost is trying to say is that, you know, underneath all the joking and because there is a rivalry between Raiders and 49ers fans. The fact that the reason that he brings up the fact that they're making fun of us right now, making fun of the Raiders, is because there's obviously some concern here with the move. Not only just the move itself, but when you also factor in
Let me bring up one more thing with Josh McDaniels. He had the best passing rate or passing.
Finish your thought, Jeff. I'm interested. Finish your thought.
I was
Passing rating.
I thought my impression was that you brought up that point that 49ers fans are making fun of you as a Raiders fan because there is some truth to this idea that we should be concerned about this move. Because like I said, as I just pointed out in the comments section here, I mean, somebody pointed out all these nice stats about Jimmy G through 10 starts, to which I responded, well, it's only 10 starts. The football season is 17 games. So, I mean, availability is the best ability, right? That's what we were all talking about with Lamar Jackson. So, you could be Joe Montana, or you could be the second coming of Joe Montana. But if you're not on the field, now we're getting into, okay, what is your value? If they do draft a quarterback, a rookie, your value could be still teaching the playbook, still being a mentor, still being able to see stuff on the field, and all that is true. But if you're taking up that much of the cap, if you're signed to that big of a deal, are you taking up too much cap just to be on the bench? And that's the gamble that the Raiders have taken now. This is the dice that they've rolled. And Tom Pelissero, who's the one who revealed all the details of this contract that was made official today, he said that basically Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be the starter for the next 2 years, which brings me back to my point of, if they're going to draft a rookie quarterback, what's the point? Because we could have a Jordan Love situation where, do we really even know how good Jordan Love is or could have been had he just started from day one? Because, or even 6 or 7 weeks into his rookie year, because you have to wonder, was the confidence just taken away from Jordan Love because he's just been sitting on the bench for his entire career? And I mean, he had one good drive or two against the Eagles, but you could chalk that up to the Eagles just didn't have film on him. They didn't know what to expect. It was sort of a learn on the job in the moment kind of a thing against him. And what would he do given the bigger sample size throughout the course of an entire season? So to me, I'm aware of that situation as well. And like I said, we can get into that as well, the rookie side of things. But I just pointed out to say, like I said, I think there is reason to be concerned about this move because, like I said, injury proneness is the obvious thing. It's the biggest thing right now. And,
Hey, not to say anything. AJ, you're watching the game?
Oh yeah, I think he's away from the AFK.
Oh yeah,
right
he
now.
must be. Hey, them Suns are getting beat right now.
Oh, that's great. They suck. Alsgo, did you finish your point? Did you want to continue or?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head, Jeff. I think we should just take, I think it's good to be optimistic, and I think generally that's a good way to live.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we should take a measured approach. I think we should be realistic about what we have on our hands here.
Here's
my
insight on this, really quick.
In my opinion, just real quick, Ray. In my opinion, Jimmy G is not an upgrade over Derek Carr, and maybe he is in this system. And just to be clear, guys, I'm not rooting for Jimmy G to not succeed or
lunatic. Salute, lunatic.
Salute, lunatic. Mr. Took your soul. Salute. I'm not rooting for the guy to fail.
Bro.
I'm not rooting for the guy to get injured. I hope he succeeds. I hope I'm wrong. But, as it stands, I look at our division and you have, Garoppolo going up against Mahomes twice a year, going up against Herbert twice a year, going up against Russell Wilson twice a year with Sean Payton. I think it's spooky, dude. I don't think he could bang with those guys. And those are 6 critical games. So that's my big takeaway. Can he go toe to toe with those guys 6 times a year? I don't think so. I hope I'm wrong.
And here's my insight on this, honestly.
Yeah.
I completely agree. Like, after hearing what Al said and what you have to say, Jeff, I completely agree. To be honest, right now, I really look at this right now as our 7th overall pick. I fully believe that we should go full on defense. I don't care about a first-round quarterback, honestly. If there's really a quarterback and we're in a situation where we need one, I'd rather take a chance at Stetson Bennett or somebody else. But in my opinion, I would really look at to next season if we're going to get all defense in the draft and we go to next year when you guys said Jimmy's going to play 2 years next year and this year.
Right.
I honestly would try to make a trade up for number 1 and try to get Caleb or somebody. That's where I take.
I don't. Hey, we should not move up. If we're in the right perfect and we make the playoffs, I wouldn't go for no Caleb Williams.
And that's the thing, though. How are we going to make the playoffs if we can trust Jimmy G to be healthy?
Hooker, if we draft, I would be good with Hooker as our quarterback. He could sit for a year and then take over the reins.
I'm just wondering though, Cortez, like going back to what Al said is about like how can we trust Jimmy G's like ability to be on the field 24/7, like being
this
there
is gonna
every
go
game.
back to him with how
because Chase, I understand Chase been in the system for a year, but it's
he with Josh McDaniels, he has a winning record with Josh. Josh knows not to run him down the throat like stupid Shanahan does all of his players. I don't know why players go over there and play for him if he just runs them down the throat. And then plus that he's gonna have the weapons.
I understand that, and that's the thing though. Wouldn't you want?
And some of these fans that say, "Oh, our O line, we need to work on our." We had 10 to 12th best O line last year.
Yeah, but Cortez, you also got to remember we have weapons, but half our weapons are injured. Last year
don't think about like that. Waller's going to be back this year, and that's going to be his.
Let's hope so.
Waller.
Let's hope that he's healthy. Let's hope that his heart is in football and not music making. Let's hope that.
Unless you got to think now he's married.
He just got married too, bro.
The dude just got married, dude.
Yeah, his wife Plum is all
he's
up in his
about
head
life
to tell
right
him
now.
to go play. But they got to make another athlete.
I mean, Waller's no spring chicken.
Yeah,
dude. I think he's like 31.
Be out. I prefer Theo Munford or Heron over Illuminor.
Point is, dude, like, yeah, we have
Illuminor was
weapons, but they're not available.
Ranked top 10 in
and they love Brandon Parker. The new regime love Brandon Parker. That's why he's back. I just want to see how he plays.
What about that, Cortez? They love a bad player. Like, what about
he's
that?
Gonna start most likely.
Okay, that's concerning. He's not a good player. Like Brandon Parker is not he's not a starting right tackle in this league. He just isn't.
It's because the former, no disrespect to John Gruden, none of them, Tom Cables did not know what the hell he was doing.
Well, so I mean, but yeah, so what is your point? Are you saying that like the pass protection is going to be better, which would prevent Jimmy G from being hurt as often or as severely?
Yeah, and plus that he won't need to do them bootleg them. They get bootlegs anymore. That's where he kind of get injured when they put like a defender on him.
I think Cortez is like low key Garoppolo's agent, dude. I think he negotiates the contract or something.
Yeah, I know what I'm talking about.
I think he just hated Carr so much that he would have.
Yeah, Carr's trash to me. Carr's out of here.
Right, if the Raiders plucked Paxton Lynch from the XFL right now and named him,
I'll be happy.
He would
I'm
be
a big
happy.
Carr hater. I lost respect this
Exactly.
year
So-
for him because he was trash.
We have to weigh everything he's saying in the context of.
I think he would have brought back Jamarcus Russell, dude. I
Right.
think he would've
Nah,
He
no,
would be
no.
pumped for that.
See, Ozzy's agreeing with me. I got good points on this. Like,
I
want
actually,
Poirier.
for the
That's what I
record,
really
Cortez,
want.
I want you to be
Poirier.
right.
Hey, Jeff, can you check if Harmon's back? Because I've been hearing flaked about
Yeah,
he's
I
not
don't,
back.
apparently he's not supposed to come back, but we'll see. We'll
Because no, they may go after Poirier or they may be done.
well, I mean, he's a free agent, right? So
Yeah.
he's testing free agency right now.
Hey, would you guys bring back?
only
Rocky
day
Sin
one.
for 8?
Right. So he's kind of in the nether realm.
No wide receiver's been taken so far.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of them seem signed.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I want to throw this out here really quick.
Yeah.
Jeff. I know that we don't we're not in the best. I mean, I don't know how much money do we have
20,
right now left in
20
the
mil.
cap.
20 mil, I believe.
Okay.
That's what I was reading
So
from the Discord.
what I was thinking right now is that if we were to go for Jordan Poyer, I don't know how much money we'll probably have, probably 10 or probably 8-9 mil. I don't know. It depends on the contract, but which one would you rather prefer? Would you rather prefer Poyer or a possible wide receiver too? Because I mean, there's a bunch of options open.
But they may do some restructuring on 3 players. I'm gonna name them right now. This is what Tashawn Reed may say: Andre James, Bilal Nichols, and Brandon Bolden. Restructure. Yeah, just push it back.
Well,
Here's
I
the
think we'll
thing-
get on the
Here's the
D-line.
thing, though, with all 3 of those players, they're all on minimum contracts. They're not even that much money. We're gonna probably most up free at least 4 mil from one of them for all 3 of them.
Yeah.
And one
not-
note
Who
that
needs
they-
to take a restructure is Chandler Jones. I need
Nah,
Chandler Jones.
Yeah, but if
to
you
start.
push them,
I do not want to be what we were with stupid ass Mike Mayock. We're still paying Corey Littleton. I forget who else. No, you don't
Marcus Joyner.
backload that because he's gonna retire after this year, or he may retire this year.
yeah, fucking Bobby Bonilla.
Yeah, Bobby Bonilla Day. Thanks for bringing that up. By the way, no,
And on another note, a in-house
What?
free agent. This is from Tashawn Reed. I'm just gonna throw
okay,
it
go
out there.
for it.
Raiders want Mac Hollins back on a similar deal to the 1-year deal he signed last year. Hollins is seeking a multiple contract with a salary in the ballpark of $5 to $7 million. You can't blame him for testing his market in the class. I
wouldn't.
Hey, Jeff, just real quick on this whole Jimmy thing. I'd be interested if we actually went around the room and actually voiced, whether we're happy or not with the Jimmy G signing. I mean, I'll go.
I don't even got to answer.
Yeah, I mean, I know you got the number.
No,
10
how do you
tatted,
feel
dude.
about it?
So I'm not happy with it. Cortez is. Jeff, where are you at?
Like I said, I mean, it's
Happy or not, dude? I'm trying to pigeonhole you here, but
yeah, I mean, it's not as simple as that because, like I said, I've thought about it a lot throughout the day, and my first reaction to it is it's contingent on whether or not we draft a quarterback. But like I said, if what Tom Pelissero said today was true, which is that he's basically going to be our starter for the next 2 years, what's the point of getting a rookie in the first place? So,
but there's an out in that contract, I think, starting next year, like they did DC. So they have an out in his.
I don't think there's an out. I don't think there's an out.
Yeah,
after
I
next
think
year.
I read that.
I mean, the thing is, it's 34 million guaranteed over 3 years. That's not going to break the bank. Yeah, I don't know if there's an out or not. I didn't see anything like that. Like I said, for Pelissero to say he's basically going to be the starter for the next 2 years, based on the amount of money that the contract involves. Like I said, I mean, this could go very well in the sense that if they're able to, not have to spend a draft pick on a quarterback and they can focus on building a team around Jimmy G. Assuming that Jimmy G stays healthy, this could go. It could go very well. He could function as a very good system quarterback. Nobody's asking for him to set the world on fire, statistically. But on the other hand, it could go very poorly in the sense that, um, you know, if he goes down, if he gets injured, and they don't draft a quarterback, the next quarterback behind him is Chase Garbers, and that I understand the idea of a system quarterback. It's supposed to be about the system, and any quarterback can function in it. But to some extent, that does break down. I mean, to some extent, you do need talent at the quarterback position. You can't just, we saw in the NFC Championship with the 49ers. Josh
Hey,
Johnson is.
hey, I have a feeling there may be a trade tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean there could be all kinds of things. I just just to answer Al's ghost question, it's like I said, there's a couple of things still up in the air, and it's going to depend on what they do moving forward.
All right, I'll be
Especially the
back in a
draft.
minute.
I think the draft is going to be the most important thing to look for and to look at as far as how Jimmy G plays into this team. So like I said, free agency is still a thing as well, but we're gonna have to see how it all plays out. No, is there anything you wanted to add to all this? I know we didn't really get a chance to get to you.
Nah, it's the thing about Jimmy Garoppolo is that I don't really care, to be honest. To be honest, it's a team friendly deal compared to the quarterback market that we just saw. I mean, I argue that Jimmy Garoppolo is easily a more complete quarterback than Daniel Jones, and he's getting paid $40 million fucking dollars a year for the next 4 seasons. So, even if Jimmy Garoppolo is a quote unquote bridge quarterback, I still think this is a great deal for this team. And not only that, Cortez was talking about this earlier. He's familiar with McDaniel's system, even though it's been a while. We know that QBs that go back to systems that they are familiar with, usually, or I say usually because Carson Wentz appears to be a lone exception. They have success in their returns to former coordinators. Derek Carr included last year. We saw the significant drop off between him last year with Greg Olsen and this year with McDaniels. And Olsen was with Carr the rookie year. We all know that. So there's examples of QB coaching relationships that are bonded based off of scheming and the the knowledge of the system. So as for my thoughts on it, I have no emotions on it. It's just kind of whelming. Right? It's nothing. There's nothing too jarring about the contract. There's nothing too jarring about the reason that we have Garoppolo and not somebody like Rodgers right now, who we would have to give up our premium pick for, and maybe Renfro or Waller. So I think this is a good deal for us. I hope he plays well. You can't really tell. We talked about the injury issues he's had recently, just before. So you just hope he stays healthy. If we draft a quarterback like Anthony Richardson, we hope that Richardson develops behind Garoppolo for this first year or maybe next 2 years. There's not much else to say.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely bring up some good points. No, I mean, yeah. First of all, the quarterback market is so screwed up, especially with contracts like we saw Daniel Jones just get. So, that is a whole different issue, on its own. So we're fortunate, like I said. I mean, it's $34 million guaranteed over 3 years for Jimmy G. So, like I said, that's not going to break the bank. Just in terms of football, though, all finances aside, this is sort of the issue that we've been talking about, for a very long time now. Pretty much throughout the history of this show. At what point is this team going to start winning, right? Because if this is a bridge quarterback, I mean, usually when we talk about bridge quarterbacks, we're not talking about, maybe we're talking about borderline playoff contenders, but we're not really talking about Super Bowl contenders or anything of that nature. So, to me, it's just it's difficult to say whether or not are they really building a future. Did McDaniels do this just to sort of save his job because he feels like with Jimmy he can get 7 or 8 wins as opposed to 6 wins like he got last year. I don't, we'll have to see. It would just be unfortunate, like I said, if they draft a rookie quarterback. Garoppolo's named the starter, but he goes down due to injury, and the rookie starts, which is great. But Jimmy G's still taking. I mean, he's not taking up a lot of the cap, but he goes down. So I mean, there is value with him as far as teaching the playbook. So I guess you could be like a second quarterbacks coach in a way. So there is value there. So like I said, I mean, if they do draft a rookie quarterback, I think this could be a good move. But if he's going to be the starter for 2 to 3 years, then like I said, we might be robbing a rookie quarterback of his confidence just because he's not going to play. He's not going to feel like he's ever ready. It could be a Jordan Love situation. As I said earlier. So. Like I said, like the new NFL league year just started. There's going to be a whole bunch of more free agency moves to come. We're going to see how this team builds around Jimmy G. If not, makes a move to get up to a position to draft a rookie quarterback. To have another guy in the locker room in that position group. So I'll have to see. But obviously, for right now, it's going to be something I think that we're going to continue to talk about and continue to see how the situation evolves. So this is somewhat of a segue, a slight segue into a different sort of topic. And no, it's going to be yours if you want to get us started. Just what you think the future scenarios of this team is going to be now that Jimmy G is signed. Do you foresee a rookie quarterback being drafted? Do you foresee it, as I pointed out, maybe they just spend that 7th overall pick on another prime position, like somewhere on defense, or maybe a running back, which would mean that they would trade Josh Jacobs. What do you think? What do you think are the future scenarios as of now?
Yeah, like I just mentioned, there's always like I thought, let me back up. I think that Garoppolo signing is an indicator that this team is looking to get a young QB. That's the reason why I believe the contract is very friendly and is positioned and structured in such a way that indicates that we are drafting a quarterback either this year, whether it be Anthony Richardson, if Carolina doesn't fuck up and take him number 1 overall.
Mm-hmm.
If it's somebody later in the draft, like Hendon Hooker, Tanner McKee even, or maybe Jake Herner from Fresno State.
Right.
All these guys, they're really raw prospects, so you would need to have them be set for a year. And obviously, it's beneficial for this team to use their 7th overall pick on a player on the defensive side of the ball if they don't plan on taking Richardson. So the plan, I think, or that's what is all possibilities are looking at for this season alone, is that Garoppolo will be the starting QB going into week 1. He will play more like the role that Alex Smith played to Patrick Mahomes, if that makes sense, to the new quarterback we get.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
then we maybe transition from Garoppolo to the rookie QB if we see something happen like what happened to Joe Flacco and Lamar Jackson in 2018, or maybe even Mariota and Tannehill the next year. So there's always that possibility there. Obviously there are some flaws in that plan. If we do try and get Anthony Richardson, like if he does slip through Arizona, Detroit, who's also in the same position, is looking to get a new QB there as well, considering Jared Goff is also their bridge QB. So I wouldn't be shocked to see Richardson go if we stay put at 7.
Mm-hmm.
In that scenario, I think, taking a quarterback in the 3rd or 4th rounds, like, the guys I mentioned before, I think that would be a wise choice. Have him sit for a year or 2, and then when Garoppolo's 3rd year of the money, which is his like cap relief season, I guess, of the roster, have him sit on the bench as a 2nd string quarterback and let the new guy play. That's like the optimistic outlook to see this team succeed.
Saints, man.
Yeah, the more chaotic path is Garoppolo plays lights out like he did in 2017 and in 2019 under Shanahan. In which case you're confronted with the dilemma of what do you do now? Because Garoppolo, I think he's only 30 or 31 years old, so you still have him. Maybe you can turn him into a Rich Gannon type quarterback. There's always that possibility. Extend him for another few years and just keep kicking the can down the road. Obviously, that's the less ideal scenario because there's lots of uncertainties surrounding what you would do with that situation. Would you be willing to pay a quarterback his age that amount of money again after he got the bag and then lost the skills to get another bag and then blah blah blah, and then obviously the worst case scenario is that Garoppolo is injured at some point in the season, and if for some reason this team doesn't have a quarterback that's adequate enough to step in and take over immediately, someone maybe like a Jacoby Brissett that could also play, then I think this might be the end of
Jeff, if you
the
want,
coaching staff.
Rudy, I don't know what to do with Rudy, Jeff. I've been watching that.
I just wanted to say it because everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and I just don't want it to get nasty in the comments. Sorry, no, what were we saying?
Yeah, like I was
Not
saying,
bad,
the worst possible outcome, is Garoppolo gets injured. We don't have a starting Q or another QB familiar with the system outside Chase Garbers. Obviously, Garbers is going into his second season. Maybe he'll be much more improved, spending a year in the practice squad, learning from Carr and Stidham throughout the offseason. And maybe in the preseason, he shows that he's capable enough to stay on the 53-man roster. But obviously, you don't want the scenario where everything is chaotic and this team is a dumpster fire and a laughing stock of the league again. So, the best case scenario is the one where the future is put first. Draft Garoppolo, get a quarterback in the draft, have him sit for a year or two, and then shift Garoppolo to the bench, just like what the Niners did with Lance and Garoppolo.
I feel like now is a prime time to see what you could do with Anthony Richardson. Like I was saying earlier, they're countering off the move that the Panthers just made for the first pick, and that's a smart move by Ziegler.
Let me I just want to say something from the comments. I don't know if the person's gonna like this. You guys know. No, I won't say nothing, Jeff. I'll keep it to myself.
Okay.
Because he will be hated, or he'll hate me more. But let's just.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Then it's best that you probably keep it to yourself. Yeah, Rudy. Or excuse me. No. Yeah. I'm personally going to disagree with you on one of your points about the Lions drafting quarterback. I don't think that's likely, just because first of all, the way in which Goff played this past year, he definitely played. I think he played very well, and he played well enough where I don't think, at least for now, for this year, especially with I would argue that they have some other needs, especially on defense, to the point where that a quarterback is not high on their wish list. So to me, I don't think I'd be worried about them. But like I said, the highest realistically you could probably get up to is the Arizona pick at number 3, which would obviously prevent even teams like Seattle and Detroit, who are ahead of us, from making a move that would surprise anybody, like drafting a quarterback. Having said that, hold on, let's think real quick. Having said that, I would say, as I said before, the bigger thing to worry about probably is that other teams could leapfrog the Raiders to get a quarterback, and I do believe that there are teams with a more urgent need for a quarterback. Prime among them, I would argue, would be the Falcons and the Titans, because right now the Titans seem to be in a rebuild. Having let go of their center, having let go of their starting tackle and Taylor Lewan, having shopped Derrick Henry. It seems like they're sort of embracing a new chapter. Now, it could very well be that they're going to give Malik Willis more of a chance. But what we've seen from him so far, I don't think there's a lot to get excited about. So we'll have to see as far as that goes. But then, Atlanta. I mean, once again, maybe they still have a young quarterback in Desmond Ridder, who they might give the nod to, especially because they released Mariota. But at the same time, I mean, you look at a team like Carolina, who has a guy like Matt Corral, who's a young, unproven talent in the building, and they decide to move to the number one pick anyhow. So
anything could happen.
Right. So the Desmond,
and then there's still a possibility that we can move up to 3, Jeff.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I really think that the best strategy right now is to move up to number 3, like make that a priority. Because like I said, I mean, if we're talking about Jimmy G being like the mentor sort of bridge quarterback, that's not going to work unless you have a rookie quarterback or a young quarterback that you're confident in.
And going back to Richardson, I think it would work out perfectly. Let Richardson sit behind him, let him learn. And just to let you guys all know, this is my favorite picture of this dude, because that's what he's going to do in New Orleans once he gets his way. If he doesn't get his way, you're going to see him on podiums crying.
You might see him in the NFC Championship game too, Cortez.
Nah, bro. Nah. Let me just say this. This is my opinion. His career is over. He will not make it to the Super Bowl.
And we have going to cry in week 1.
So
quarterback. That's what I like better. Happiness. Look at him happy. Not crying over not getting a win. Because it was his fault.
He'll give you 6 weeks of football, Cortez, and then week 7 we'll be looking for a backup. But actually, to go back to,
I'd rather have him before Carr.
Oh well, there you go. I'm not going to argue that.
Because of like system knowledge,
nothing to me no more. He's no longer a Raider. So all these Carr fans, just get with the program. Be happy that we got a quarterback that could at least take us somewhere, that could win games.
So, I'm not gonna debate the whole Carr situation. You guys know how I feel,
I'm ready to move on. I'm happy with
but what I'm gonna say is like about AR-15. The guy has really he really showed out at the combine. Great measurables, great speed. The guy could throw deep, etc. I just don't think that he's an NFL quarterback at this point. I think it's too much of a gamble to go for that guy. And frankly, I think I mentioned this during one of last week's lives. I think the guy ultimately ends up as a tight end or wide receiver in the NFL. His throwing mechanics are really, really off. His feet are all jumbled up. And it's hard to teach a guy. I know he's young. He's only like 21, 22 or so. Mm-hmm. But I don't think he could, fix those kinds of flaws. I think Josh Allen is sort of an exception. If you guys remember when he first, entered the league, he was kind of like similar, physical specimen, could throw it really deep, very inaccurate. But it's very rare to find a guy or to teach a guy to be accurate. I think it's one of those things where you either have it or you don't. Obviously, Josh Allen is an exception to that. But I just think it's too much of a gamble to go for AR-15. I think probably – a safer bet would be going with the Stanford guy or the Fresno State guy, maybe in the second, third round, develop a guy, someone who has.
You know what would be so perfect? I'm just going to throw this out here. Hendon Hooker right behind Jimmy G.
Yes, I think that would be fine. Yeah, something like that.
That's the only thing I'm really concerned about. Hendon Hooker is a good player with a lot of experience, but as soon as his rookie deal is up, he's gonna be pushing 30.
Yeah, he's 25, dude. He's
he will be 30. That's what he will be. He will be 30 at the end of his 4-year rookie deal if he's taken after the first round. He will be 30 years old at the end of his deal. That and an ACL injury are pretty much the only downsides you could have to drafting Hooker and then keeping him on the bench for a year. I think those are the only 2 downsides. But are those downsides too, extreme for you to? Are they going to scare you off from taking him and developing him? That's the main question. And personally, for me, yeah, it does. To be honest, I don't think that this is the right team that he should grow on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I mean, then that's the other thing, right? I mean, if we're talking about, quarterbacks with injury, with the injury proneness
age
narrative,
doesn't really. Look what Lunatic says. Age for a quarterback doesn't matter. Look how long Tom Brady
for
played.
a quarterback doesn't matter. Okay.
Okay, yeah, but hang on. Hang on,
Father time is undefeated.
Tom Brady is the rare exception of an athlete playing well in a contact sport until their 40s. Let's take a look at another player right now who's just fallen off the cliff. Matt Ryan, he was an MVP, a top caliber quarterback, and now he's 37, 38 years old. And now after 16, 15 great years in the NFL, it's just over. He's become a washed quarterback. And, you could, if Rodgers last season with the Packers last year was any indication of maybe what his skill is going to, I would argue that he might be headed in the same direction. All right, Tom Brady is the rare exception. I don't like using him as an example of players that the Father Time doesn't apply to QBs.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to try to convince us of your side of things, Cortez, with a statement like that, you're not going to do it, because that's not a good argument. Obviously, age does affect quarterbacks. Everybody has a time when they should. Pretty much everyone. I mean, Brady's the one exception maybe, but even last year, you could argue he was showing his age. Maybe there were other factors involved, but the whole point is that to base sticking with a guy because of this idea that age doesn't matter is just ridiculous. And I was also going to say that, to your point now about Hendon Hooker, we could be in a situation where 2 out of our 3 quarterbacks, Chase Garber's excluded, but the top 2 quarterbacks in our depth chart have injury proneness. I mean, you have a guy who's had several injuries in the NFL over the past several years, and Jimmy G, backed up by and maybe followed by a guy like Hendon Hooker, who just tore his ACL in his last season with Tennessee. So, that's a concern in and of itself. Do you want 2 guys like that? That to me is not the best way of, putting your best foot forward to, start to put this franchise in the right direction. So, as I've said before, and I will admit it, I've liked certain things about Hendon Hooker. I've felt that in terms of actually being a conventional quarterback, a passer basically, I think in real game context, he's done better than Anthony Richardson. And I think pretty much anything you'd look at would indicate that. But, the big thing with him, like you said, Noah, is the injury thing. So there's the injury designation and the risk of that moving forward. So I just don't think that for that reason, Hendon Hooker is the best pair with Jimmy G, because it'd be one thing if you have one guy who, was able to stay healthy, he's very durable throughout his career, and then you had a quarterback who might have.
Hey, just to let you guys know, we got to play against Tomlinson twice a year now. He signed a 4-year deal.
Dalvin Tomlinson?
Mm-hmm. Going to the Donkeys.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, we should, first of all, we should not be surprised if this team is in last place next year.
No, Jeff, we're not going to be in last place.
All right, well, look, I'm just saying.
Hey, let me just say this too real quick. If we notice, who has been winning what side of the ball has been winning the Super Bowl? What side has been? The offense been.
All right. Once again, you're throwing out these statements and you're trying to make these points that just go against football common sense. So, if you're going to try to convince us using ideas like that, it's not going to work.
I don't think we'll be last next year.
Okay. No, you're entitled to that. You're entitled to that opinion. I'm just saying that, like,
we need to.
And why the heck is Rudy keeps on bringing up this Spygate crap? That's in the past. Why is he bringing up in the past stuff? Like,
I think to Jeff's point, Cortez, like, I think it's important to. I hope we're not in last place next year. Shit, I hope we win the division.
Yep.
But I think taking a realistic approach and seeing the moves that the rest of our division rivals are making, we are probably the weakest team. If you just look at the moves, like you just kind of look at you got to look at things objectively and It pains me as a diehard Raider fan, as a former season ticket holder in Oakland, to say that, but you step back and look at the rosters, everyone else is like re-upping. And, I think that this is telling, not to rehash the whole Jimmy Garoppolo situation, but I think this is telling. With the exception of Cortez, I don't think anyone else in Raider Nation was throwing a party tonight about, Garoppolo being on the team, dude. I think no one I wasn't jumping for joy. I don't think anyone else was really jumping for joy. I think everyone else, I think the range of emotions was from, hey, okay, whatever, to like, nah, I hate this. But I don't think anyone in Raider Nation was necessarily ecstatic. I will say what makes me, I guess, makes the Garoppolo move like a little bit more palatable to me is it is like a little bit, more of a team-friendly deal. The money doesn't seem to be outrageous, especially in light of
That's
the
what
Daniel
I
Jones
like
contract.
about this. We didn't overpay a quarterback.
Right,
like
but
we
at the
usually
same
do.
time, so it's one thing. So this is the thing though, Cortez. If you go to a store, right, or any of us go into a store and we get a deal on something, on some kind of product, like we may be happy in the sense that we got a good deal on the product, but if the product isn't an upgrade on the existing product that you had, I don't think you really came out ahead, right? And the only way that you actually come out ahead is if Ziegler makes the appropriate moves going forward and fills out the roster the right way. And it starts with the defense, right? The last time the Raiders had a viable defense, I was learning long division, dude. It's been a long ass time since the Raiders had a viable defense. And go ahead. No, well, I was just going to say, like, I think that could make this a win, right? So today, as of March 13th at 8:16 p.m. Pacific,
Rudy
I don't
needs
think
to stay
that
off the drugs.
I don't think that this is the right move for the Raiders, but it could become the right move if Ziegler goes ahead and uses the excess capital that we have and the draft capital that we have to make moves to fill out this roster, because we have tons of holes. And maybe ultimately that's what they were thinking. Hey, let's just get a stopgap.
Yeah, that's exactly the main, the hope there.
Right. So let's get a stopgap quarterback for a year or two, and let's fill out the rest of the needs on this roster, which, by the way, then signals to me as a fan, you know what? We're probably not winning for the next couple of years. That's what it signals to me. Like, remember earlier last season. Remember when Mark Davis said, he voiced his support for Ziegler and McDaniels, and then what did he say, guys? Rome wasn't built in a day. Right. So as Raider fans, I want us to go into next year, because we get super hype around draft time. We get really hype in the preseason when we go undefeated, and then reality hits when September starts and our team loses. And I think we need to go into this season with our eyes open, realizing that, hey, we may not win for a couple of years. And that shit sucks, dude. But I think that's the reality. I think these guys have a very much like a long-term plan. And I'll say this, I want to win as, tomorrow, as soon as possible. Yeah. But if it's going to take a couple of years for us to build a sustainable winner, a consistent winner, then unfortunately, this is a life I chose as a Raider fan. I can't force it, dude. If there was a magic button that I could push and all of a sudden we were a perennial playoff contender, I would go ahead and push that button. But as it stands, I think it's going to take a couple years.
Yep.
Shit, I mean, we all may be like fucking grandparents, dude. By the time we have a sustainable winner, who knows? But hopefully not. Hopefully, these guys put it together. Do I believe in them? I believe in Ziegler more than I do in McDaniels.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between believing, right, and being realistic. I don't think that these are necessarily the guys, but at the same time, I don't think that the right move is to go ahead and fire these guys, because as I mentioned, we change head coaches and GMs like we change underwear. We need consistency. We need stability. And you look around the league and the teams that are playing late into January and into February, there's a common theme. There's consistency, right? There's stability. And you can't buy that kind of stability, for instance, that the Chiefs have.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's just, priceless. Or the stability that the Steelers have, or the stability that the Patriots have. And we don't have that kind of stability. We haven't had it pretty much for a couple of decades.
Yeah. I mean, well, first of all, I just want to say about my last place comment that because there are 3 wild card spots, last place isn't what it used to be. In other words, we could see all 4 of the AFC West teams make the playoffs in theory. So, it's possible there is a scenario in which last place is still okay because we could still see, the postseason and we can declare it a successful season. So there is that to be said. However, when you think about, what I really meant by that statement was, to me, the first sign of trouble today was, first of all, Jared Stidham was not brought back, and second of all, that he was taken by a rival, an AFC rival in the Broncos, an AFC West rival, no less. And to me, why that was troubling was because you really have to think: does Sean Payton really see him as a starter, somebody to compete with Russell Wilson? The answer to that is probably no. The reason he probably signed him was he now has a competitive advantage over Josh McDaniels in the sense that he can use Jared Stidham to teach him, and to say nothing of his defensive coordinator, the playbook that McDaniels uses, teach him his tendencies, all of those things. So to me, a guy that was as close to that McDaniel seemed to be keeping as close to the vest as he was with Stidham, to let him walk, to me was alarming. But second of all, beyond that, the fact that, as Cortez said, Sean Payton went out and signed a guy like Dalvin Tomlinson, was pretty darn good. It just seems like things are snowballing to the point where, I mean, Sean Payton's a guy who knows what he's doing as a head coach much more than Josh McDaniels has proven to. So, when you just, and for that matter, I mean, Josh McDaniels has proven to be able to beat Brandon Staley, but in general, the games you play head to head against your divisional rivals it's not everything. If he's going to win more games in general than you are, then you're going to be behind them in the standings, and that's why I think when you just look at the records all time of these 3 other coaches, they're much better than Josh McDaniels. So that to me, that's why I say be prepared for last place. I just think it's the most realistic, and that could go back to, why did Mark Davis hire this guy in the first place? Why is he not having more of a hand in how the franchise is being handled right now? But it's just, like I said, with the Jimmy G thing, we'll have to see, and that's sort of that's been my policy, for a while now. It's just, every move this team has made under this regime, it's like, you can sort of see it. Maybe it's not totally impossible to see where things may or may not be headed, but at the same time, we haven't really seen the results to back that up yet. So how long of a leash does this guy get? So I just wanted to mention that as far as my last place comment, because last place is not good, and it could be really bad, especially given our record this year. But does that mean we're going to be horrible this year on purpose again, and we're going to get Caleb Williams? It's just we're gonna have to see how it all shapes out. AJ, was there anything you wanted to add?
But on which topic?
Just like, well, I mean, obviously the general topic is still Jimmy G, but more specifically, the topic we moved on to most recently was, what future scenarios do you envision taking place for the Raiders now that Jimmy G is signed? Do you think we're going to draft a rookie? Do you think they're going to use the 7th overall pick as well as other draft picks to build a team around Jimmy G? Do you see any particular free agents the Raiders signing? Do you see any trades in the works? What do you think the future of this team looks like in terms of that?
All right. So what I see right now, for now, what I'm seeing, this Jimmy Garoppolo signing proves a lot. So that shows, I was mentioning about this earlier, but this shows that the Raiders aren't gonna reach for a quarterback with that seventh pick.
Mhm.
Like if the top three are off the board, let's say Stroud, Bryce Young, and probably either Levis or Richardson, or probably both of them, that they're not gonna just reach for a quarterback
Mhm.
out of just being desperate with the seventh pick, and they're gonna play smart, and they're gonna really see what they have up on the table. And also, this shows that with them getting a stable bench, like a bridge quarterback, this
Mhm.
shows that with the seventh pick, they could value the defense. Like they could go after the defense in multiple ways, like
Right.
draft. They went for some today with guys like bringing back Brandon Faison and also Marcus Epps, and like
Mhm.
also just adding, like you could add like more, like, because it seems like a lot of the defense is really just depth, and it's like some pieces like we're missing cornerstone starters. So it's like linebacker is an issue that we'd probably want to address tomorrow, because like
Mhm.
Denzel Perryman's testing the market. So I feel that getting a middle linebacker would really help. Like get a middle linebacker and also a corner. If they could do that tomorrow, like
Mhm.
address one of those needs tomorrow, get a veteran linebacker, and also like the Raiders have 11 picks in this draft. So I can see before free agency is up, I'm gonna tell you this guaranteed. The Raiders aren't drafting 11 guys. At one point, they're gonna make a trade for. I could see a guy like Darius Slay maybe going
Mhm.
to us. Like you could like the Raiders could go anywhere, but I could see probably trading what they need to get a high end corner, because that's what the Raiders been lacking for years.
So are you saying that you envision the Raiders sticking with Jimmy G?
Yeah, for like a couple years, but they're
Okay.
still gonna draft the guy like within. Like, it's either gonna be like Richardson early if
Mhm.
they want to go that route, or maybe a guy like within like the middle rounds, like within between probably like the second and the fourth rounds. But they're definitely gonna evaluate all their options, not just based on the quarterback position, but just like the line, like I don't know. It may be too early for a linebacker, but like a linebacker, a
Mhm.
corner, offensive line depth, like they could go anywhere with that seventh overall pick.
So okay, so given that, let me ask you this. So what happens if Jimmy G goes down this year in the middle of the season, out for the year? Who's
If
what's
Jimmy
the
G, if
starters?
Jimmy G, if Jimmy G goes down in the middle of the season, that's when whichever rookie quarterback we get, that's when it's gonna be his time to shine and his time to step up. You know.
Okay. So you are saying they're going to draft a quarterback?
Yeah, but
Okay.
I feel like with this, it's less likely that they'll use the seventh overall pick on a quarterback, just based on the Garoppolo move.
Okay. So you're saying they're going to go for a quarterback in the later rounds?
Yeah, it's either I'm saying like taking a quarterback. It's a bit confusing, but taking a quarterback within the middle rounds, like
Mm-hmm.
the chances increase a bit when it was just like, oh, we're using the seventh overall pick on a quarterback. Like it's more likely that the Raiders could look towards the middle rounds to find their quarterback of the future.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I think Rudy mentioned that as well. Like taking a quarterback in the third or fourth round. Um, I mean, I personally am not in favor of that.
I'm back, Jeff.
What's up? Oh,
I'm
okay, what's
back.
up, man? Um,
Good.
my issue, I would say that I think you should, if you're going to draft a quarterback at all, do it with your highest pick. Just get it out of the way.
Yup.
Because I get what obviously you never know when the next Tom Brady or even Brock Purdy for that matter are going to come around. But to me, the longer you wait for a quarterback, the more you're risking your mother rolling the dice because I mean
Yeah.
it really does beg the question, how good is this guy? So to me, I would say do whatever you want with picks 2 through whatever. I guess 2 through 11 if we have 11 overall picks. To say nothing of, if we trade other guys like Josh Jacobs, we might get more picks. So it could
Yeah.
be even more draft capital that we have at our
Hey,
disposal. But I would say draft a quarterback first, just to get it out of the way, because you do have.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Let me say this: if Richardson's not there, if Bryce Young ain't there, C.J. Stroud, I'd rather take a defensive player first. Like if a Jalen Carter fall to us, I'll take him over any of the other two quarterback over Will Levis, Richardson.
Isn't Jalen Carter still going through that?
But
What is it?
he
That
cannot
issue?
like. Let me say this: he can. It's a misdemeanor. He cannot get in. He can't get no penalized because that happened in college. So once he transferred to the NFL, they cannot penalize him because it happened before he got into the NFL.
Are you talking about
The misdemeanor reckless driving?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just. But man, I don't want.
He can't be.
Or-
You mean
I
he
don't
can't be
wanna risk
suspended by
it.
the
It's
the
NFL?
too
smartest thing will
Raider-esque.
be the crazy thing if Will Anderson made it to 7, I'll take Will Anderson over any quarterback on the board.
The Cardinals are likely going to go defensive. I'm not sure about Will Anderson
But
falling. If he
but
does,
if we
that'll
could
be
trade
great.
up for like maybe a defensive player that we really like in college, I wouldn't
Yeah,
be.
we have the draft capital to do
Yeah,
that.
bro, I'll do that in a heartbeat.
I mean, trading up for a defender is.
I don't even want to look at the chat
doesn't-
anymore.
I mean, there are plenty of defenders. There are plenty of defensive guys to get even at number 7. I don't really.
Yeah, I'll take
I
a
don't see the
Christian
point in that.
Gonzalez. My favorite corner, I'll take him in the 3rd round to pair him with Christian Gonzalez.
I mean,
Hey, there's still a possibility that we could get maybe one more big splash and then little signings after that.
I feel like the big splash. I hope the big splash is Darius Slay.
Man,
There's
bro,
someone
if we
in the
could get
corner.
Darius Slay from the
And
the Eagles,
we have the draft capital too. It won't take too much. I feel like based on like the mock-ups I've seen, I feel like if we like we could go straight up 1-for-1 with like I feel like we could probably trade like a 4th and maybe a player. Or we could probably trade like a third. Not like in one, but probably like either like a third or maybe like a 4th and a player could work.
yeah, something like that. Maybe, man, there could be some weird ass trades that could happen.
Yeah, because Ramsey went for a third and a no-name
plus
tight
that,
end.
if you guys remember what happened last year, the second day of this frenzy, it's technically not even free agency yet. These players are technically still out there, but they agreed to contracts.
Yep.
What happened the second day? Who did we move off to get somebody?
was that Chandler
last year?
Jones?
We moved off from Yannick and got
Oh, yep.
a corner. That may happen again.
Oh yeah,
Who knows?
Yassine. We did that 1-for-1 with Rocky.
Yeah, a trade. And Ladarius Slay is still on he's still on the team, so that would be a trade. I'm just throwing different ideas out there.
That would be a trade I would love to see.
Hey, if what's his name from Texas A&M is there at 7, I'm taking him.
Antonio Johnson?
No, the defensive end.
You mean Texas Tech?
Yeah, Texas Tech. I'll take him. He's a beast.
Yeah.
Pair him with Mad Max. Nightmares.
I would just say that, like I said, defensively, I feel like there's enough there in the draft already where, with the 7th overall pick, especially if we're talking about, like I said, probably Carolina, Houston, and Indianapolis at least, are, they're going to spend those picks on quarterbacks. We can still, there's still going to be enough there where even if we're going to keep our pick at 7, we can still get a top defender. So I don't really see the point in trading up.
So can I say one more thing about this whole thing, what he's saying in the chat?
Sure.
It was It was a perfect business move to move off from Carr. I'd rather pay Jimmy G like 16 compared to like 40 a year. It was the perfect move, regardless. There's no hard feelings between Carr and the Raiders. So I don't get why these Raider Carr fans are saying, oh, Carr did this. It was a business move so we could get money to help our team out. If we never got rid of Carr, we would have never got Epps or Faison back. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. Obviously,
Hey, but do we all agree, wasn't it the right business move to move off a 40 quarterback that did not produce didn't show us nothing last year?
Yeah,
So
Derek Carr, as much as I love him as a QB, because I grew up.
What did he do the last 2 years, Noah?
Okay, we
Cortez. I'm talking. What do you mean? For the past 8 years, 9 years,
No,
he
I'm
put
talking
his heart
about the
and soul in
last
the team.
two.
And hang on, let me finish first because I wasn't done. As much as I love Derek Carr as a quarterback, he wasn't worth the $40 million. That is what I was going to say. So financially, yes, it was a good business move, and it's tough luck because it is a business at the end of the day. But there is still feelings at the end of this by the fans, and so I am part of that group, but I understand it at the end of the day. So
yeah, I mean, look, we've talked about the Derek Carr thing ad nauseum. So I mean, that's obviously something. Some people feel a certain way about it. Some people feel another way about it. So it's really not worth getting into that again. But let's get into another topic, which is it doesn't have to do with the quarterback, which is a topic that I know Cortez is very excited about, which was the signing of strong safety Marcus Epps. So if Cortez, you want to get into that and how you feel about that, how you think that this will improve the defense.
Hey, and like I was just saying about a trade, I would move Epps over to free and maybe move Trayvon Merrick for like a corner or something. And for Epps, I loved how he's young. Isn't he young? I forget how old he is. But to play all the snaps last year for the Eagles on their powerful defense, I just love this signing too. This was another great signing, unsleeper signing. Might have not caught nobody names. Like I was listening to some Eagle fans were like they knew that they couldn't bring back Marcus Epps back, and they were happy with him getting the money that he got.
Yeah,
and plus that he could play that free. He could go up into the box, and we know that Patrick Graham loves to run 3 safeties. And my other favorite safety is Troy Polamalu's younger nephew. That's a beast. Well, you guys could talk. I'll be right back. About how do you guys all feel about it?
I mean, to me, I think it's a decent move. I think it's pretty good. I've read that apparently he could be a weapon in the run game, as a run defender, which obviously is always good when your safeties can come up and they can contribute. In the run defense, that's always a plus. I believe he had 6 tackles in the Super Bowl, so obviously that's a pretty big contribution. I've also read that leading up to this move, leading up to free agency, the conversation around the Eagles defense going into this next year was the Eagles have to either keep C.J. Gardner-Johnson or Marcus Epps. So to me, that proves that Marcus Epps was a pretty big part, of this Eagles defense, and therefore, and obviously as a Super Bowl defense, to be a big part of that is a big move. So, like I said, I think as far as availability goes, he was probably one of the best out there. Obviously, I personally was rooting for Jesse Bates. I thought that could have been the real big safety move that this team could have made. But I mean, when you factor in things like market value, things of that nature, he was probably one of the best available as far as the free agent market was concerned. So hopefully, like I said, he fits in the system well. He can contribute defensively because, as we know, there was a lot of struggle throughout the defensive unit, and hopefully, a guy with a championship caliber pedigree can only help this team. So that's obviously what we're all hoping for. Els Ghost, was there anything you wanted to add to this?
Yeah, like I think I've mentioned it a couple of times in terms of my defensive philosophy, and actually my offensive philosophy is the same. Build through the trenches. That's where it all begins, and I think games are won or lost in the trenches. So to the extent I know secondary players are important, having good cornerback play, good safety play, especially versatile safeties that could play both coverage and also creep up on the box and play the run support. But I think where we're really lacking, guys, is the defensive line. Max needs some help. It's a one-man show right now. Chandler should be in a retirement home. I'm not sure why he's still playing. Hopefully, he goes into the retirement home, and then we could send him some care packages because, and that care package will consist of an envelope in which he can return all the money he stole from us. And I think it's a tough situation. It's a tough situation when you don't have a defensive line, and I would prioritize defensive tackle. I want that pressure up the middle. Secondarily, I would look for a defensive end / outside linebacker to help on the pass rush. And I'd like to see first and foremost, our defense playing faster. I think our defense was very confused last year, and I think that's probably a byproduct of the complicated system that Patrick Graham runs. I've mentioned on this podcast before, just because something's complicated doesn't make it better. I could give Cortez 100 ingredients and 100 different steps to, whip up a dish, but that doesn't guarantee that it'll be any good. Sometimes you just need salt and pepper and good ingredients. So hopefully they put something together that results in a better product on the field. I actually hope that Patrick Graham either simplifies the defense somewhat so that the defense could play faster and they spend less time thinking out there on the field, or B, improves his teaching, right? I think Dustin mentioned on the podcast that a lot of other teams run complicated schemes. And I agree. I think in today's NFL, like, you need a complicated scheme. You need a multiple front. You need to run exotic blitzes whenever you can, because these offensive coordinators are very, they're very smart. So you got to try to out scheme them. So I think I agree with that premise in the sense of, we have to run something that's more than just cover one or cover three. I think Gus Bradley's system, although it allows players to play fast, ultimately that kind of scheme has a ceiling, right? And so I think Patrick Graham has generally like the right kind of scheme. I just hope that he improves his teaching methods to simplify that scheme, right? I'm sure we all had going through school, teachers of varying quality, right? Some teachers could distill complicated concepts in a very understandable way, and it allowed, the students to learn. And maybe that's what Patrick Graham is lacking, but hopefully with this year of experience under his belt, it makes him a better coach and allows him to teach these concepts in a better way. And I think it'll also be better now that hopefully not too many of the same players return, but the players that do return, already have some understanding or a grasp of the system. So it won't be a complete reteach this year. So hopefully that actually helps improve the defense as well. But first and foremost, just to summarize, guys, we need to focus on the defense, and primarily I would focus on the defensive line because I think that's where it starts.
I think different. Els goes. We gotta focus from the back. To the
of
front.
course he did. Of course he did, Cortez.
I'm going my way. I'm happy that we got Faison back too.
I'm not actually. Like I don't think. Yeah,
he's not gonna be a starter. He's gonna be. He'll come on. Let me just say this straight out. He'll come on the field before little small should have been safety Amik Robertson gets on the field.
Yeah, so I'll say this, Cortez. I think Faison does have the prototypical size and length that you look for in a quarterback. So I think he should be. I would have him on the field instead of Amik, to be honest with you. But I don't think Faison is even a number 2 or number 3 cornerback. But to your point, if he's, just a depth piece, maybe that's a good thing. But just watching film that 1 year that he played for us, I think he had like one like really good game, but other than that, he would commit a lot of mental errors, and that was in a very simple scheme. If you guys remember, that was in Bradley's scheme. So um, I think those kind of mental errors you can't do in Patrick Graham's much more complicated scheme. Hopefully, I'm wrong, but I don't think Faison's going to move the needle for us on defense.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, I was going to ask, what do you think, Jeff? Do you say you start from the front or start from the back?
Well, I mean, I would say, first of all, for years now, the secondary has not been up to par. So, for that reason, I would probably lean towards starting from the back than the front. Um, I personally, I mean, with Patrick Graham, I mean, his base defensively is a 3-4. I personally don't love that. I don't love that. I don't love that scheme. I think I think it'd be prone to, you know, not really getting the job done up front for obvious reasons. I mean, you don't, just in general, you don't have as many guys, pass rushing. And I personally believe that, pass rush can really change the game defensively. That's one of those position groups that really can, if they can, win the battle in the trenches, they can really turn the tide of a game. So I guess in general, I would agree with you that you got to start up front. But I mean, this move on its own, I think, is a pretty good one. Like I said, and any way you look at it, Marcus Epps is pretty good. He has the pedigree. He comes from a culture that was successful, very successful, in fact. Excuse me, this past year. So he could bring that to the table as well. It's another depth piece at safety. And like I said, for years now, we've struggled with, um, consistently being able to defend the pass, especially in deep situations. So I like the move. I also like the Brandon Faison move. I like that they brought him back. I wish they had kept Casey Hayward to begin with in last year's free agency period, but that didn't turn out the way I'd hoped. But yeah, no, in general, I think it's a good move. And in general, I think for this team as it goes right now, getting some depth in the secondary is really important. But having said that, I mean, adding some pieces to the D line certainly would help things as well, because there's a lot of question marks with that. What's Cleveland Farrell's story? Is Chandler Jones going to show up this year? I mean, it can't all be Max. So I just think there are a lot of holes. And for that matter, the middle, right? The linebacker, that situation needs to be assessed and corrected as well in a lot of ways. So I think there's a lot of improvement to be made. There's a lot more moves that should be made. This team still has a lot in cap space, so we'll see what happens moving forward. But in general, I do like the move to not only get Faison but to get Marcus Epps. No, is there anything you wanted to add?
I can't say I know much about Marcus Epps. I remember watching him in the NFC Championship game, and he played really solid against the 49ers' scary defense. So, or scary defense. He played really well. I think he was matched up against Kittle, and I think he shut him down. So, that says, what he is as a player. There, of course, San Francisco also had Brock Purdy tear his UCL in the game. I don't know much about Epps. I know he's 27 years old. I know he's been in Philadelphia since 2019. I think he's a good safety. Well, I think he's adequate enough that if we were a defense comparable, or maybe even slightly less than what the Eagles fielded last year, I believe that he would play a strong role on this team and wouldn't be a liability. But I can't really say that I know what skills he will bring to this team in this season, considering that, like I said, I just don't know much about him. That's kind of that's all I'm really limited in saying about him. You know.
Yeah. I mean, this guy, he doesn't really have any accolades as of now, like no All Pro or Pro Bowl selections. He does. PFF, I think, grade him sort of middle of the road as far as his overall performance. So he's not. I mean, if he really were like an elite player at his position, you would have known about him already. You would have been way more excited about it than we all are. But having said that, I think any way you look at it, like I said, I mean, 6 tackles in the Super Bowl, that means a lot. Um, he's viewed apparently, like I said, as a weapon in the run defense, which is good. As a guy can come up from the secondary and plug in some holes, I guess. He's certainly a depth piece at that position. And like I said, I mean, it seems like Duron Harmon's on his way out. So this is a pretty decent replacement for him. Um, so, I mean, and like I said, he came from a very successful culture. Maybe he could bring that to this team as well. So there's that as well. So like I said, anyway you look at it, I think from a depth piece perspective, and also a guy who could compete to be really the starter at strong safety. Um, I think it's a pretty decent move. But like I said, it's only step one in many measures that this team's going to take as far as trying to rebuild this team, especially the defense. So I think it's a good place to start. I don't think it's the be all and the end all. I think there's going to be more moves from this team, but I think it's a pretty decent way to start off free agency. What do you guys think about Brandon Faison? What did you think about that signing? While we're at it, did you have a particular opinion on that? Leaning either way.
I'm happy. Yeah, I do actually. I'm happy. Brendan Faison's back. I know in 2021 he sort of tailored off as we got further down the line in the season. At the time we picked him up off waivers for I think it was 4 or 5 weeks. He played pretty well. Of course, he was a player in Gus Bradley's scheme for a while. So, it's kind of expected that he would perform. But I'm happy he's back. Maybe he can learn his way into Graham's system. And if he's not here for the long run, then maybe he can pick something up. And if, we're short on defensive backs or they're just ass again this year, then, there's always that to look forward to. So that's something I'm happy he's back. I'm just going to leave it there.
Yeah, I mean, I personally I thought it was a pretty good move. I mean, it's one of those things, like I said, just with Casey Hayward. I mean, what was the point of letting him go to another team for 1 year, right? I mean, I think they should have just kept him. I thought he did a pretty good job overall throughout the year. I thought I thought he improved honestly as the year went on in 2021. Once again, if we're talking about depth pieces, a guy who can compete at the corner position, I think he's definitely better than Anthony Averett. So there's that, right? First and foremost. So he's a guy I think I'd be pretty confident with, being able to guard a lot of wide receivers in the event that a guy goes down. Because now, Nate Hobbs, there's sort of an injury question mark surrounding him. How durable is he going to be throughout the course of a season moving forward? And as we've also discussed, as Cortez pointed out, Meek Robertson, there's the height issue. I hate to say it, as tough of a player as he is and as much intensity as he brings at times. There's that to worry about as well. We'll have to see. I mean, obviously we were all, we were all rooting for them to get Jalen Ramsey, and especially given that Jalen Ramsey only went for a blocking tight end or a backup tight end, whoever the hell that guy was, and a 3rd-round pick. It definitely was possible. I mean, maybe you could argue the Raiders didn't want to take on that contract and they didn't want to take on that salary. So that could have been a cost prohibitive thing for them. So But as far as bang for your buck, I think Brandon Faison, once again, if we're talking about depth, competing, in that locker room and in that position group, I think it's a pretty good move. What do you think, Al's Ghost, on the Brandon Faison situation? Did he say he was? Oh, he said okay. Cortez, you there? Cortez? No. Okay. All right. Um. So with that, okay. So no, we already did your topic. Okay. Why don't we just go? Because when I guess Al's Ghost um will be back. We'll talk about that. So why don't we just go into in the next topic for right now? Just talk about. So it's going to be Al's Ghost topic, and he can hop in on it when he comes back. But I guess no, I'll get your 2 cents on it while I have you here. What do you think about tight end? Because I feel like that's a position that um, hasn't really been talked about lately. I mean, obviously it's been overshadowed, particularly by the quarterback position, to say nothing of positions where we got other players at, like I said, with corner and Brandon Faison, and safety and Marcus Epps. But the other piece of news to hit Raider Nation today was that I believe Foster Moreau is now testing free agency because the Raiders decided to not bring him back. So, what do you think about the whole tight end situation? Do you like the idea of Foster Moreau leaving? Do you think the Raiders made a mistake? Do you think that there's a tight end in the draft that they could prioritize, or in free agency? What do you think?
Yeah, my opinion on Foster Moreau really soured as the season went on, and considering
Mm-hmm.
this was a contract year. After the Pittsburgh game, I was kind of out on him. Same thing with
Mm-hmm.
Carr. After he basically left the team, I was out on both of them. But yeah, I'm go get your money, Foster Moreau. Um, I'm not sad to see you go, to be honest. And if you find a team and find success, all the power to you. But you were not fitting in here. Um, so Foster Moreau, I don't want him back. If he comes back, so be it. I can't control it. And the tight end market, I really uh, can't say that it's as I expected. I mean, we saw Josh Oliver get paid $7 million a year to go to Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
And that was quite shocking to me. And you have other guys out there like big name tight ends that are you would have as starters usually, like Mike Gesicki, Dalton Schultz, Robert Tunyon, uh, Irv Smith, even Drew Sample. All these guys out here, it's an open market, and I don't think there's going to be enough room for most of these tight ends to get their spots. Considering you've got a pretty solid tight end class coming into the season. And speaking of which, there is a tight end, and I mentioned this months ago in December as a wish list sort of a draft pick. Darnell Washington out of Georgia, and then the combine really cemented my opinion on him, and he's just a monster of an athlete. And he wasn't targeted much at Georgia, and that's kind of Kirby Smart's offense over there doing all the wonders for you. But I believe Darnell Washington has all the tools to become a superstar tight end. One that I believe that Kyle Pitts, the hype that Kyle Pitts got, I believe is something that Darnell Washington should be warranting based off of his not just his strength, but it's just his core, if that makes sense. Like, he does not stop. He will not stop. He's a good run blocker. I can't wait to see how he do at his pro day in terms of the workouts and him catching, because I didn't find anything on him at the combine. Uh, you know, he's supposed to be a second round pick if he's there, or in the third round pick, and we still don't have his head end. I know we have Jesper Horsted and Fotheringham, but that's a player I want badly.
So I'm sorry. So who are you saying we should pursue in the absence of Foster Moreau?
Um, It wasn't anyone in particular in free agency.
Mhm.
It was the tight end from Georgia. Now he slipped my mind. Hang
Darnell
on.
Washington.
Yeah, Washington.
Hmm.
As for anyone in the free agency market, if I had to pick some guy here, yeah, actually Max Williams there from Arizona. Reportedly a few years ago, I remember he was supposed to, he was a target of Gruden as a good second option before we got, Moreau. So there's that as well. So there's lots of options out here if we need a second tight end. Obviously, there's not exactly the space for the young guys. You have some guys here like Donald Parham, and Tyler Davis here. But outside of those guys, there's not really any young tight ends that in the free agency market that I am definitely eyeing. So
Yeah. I mean, just off the top of my head, I mean, Max Williams. I remember he was like pretty old, right? And he wasn't exactly the biggest weapon as far as like a receiving tight end. I mean, I guess should we be looking for another receiving tight end to sort of complement Waller, or is
well,
this a key
the
blocking tight end? Go ahead.
the thing about Waller, and we've talked about this on the show before, is that he was converted from receiver, so his run blocking skills are not exactly on par with the likes of guys like Mark Andrews, George Kittle, or Travis Kelce. So we do need to look for a tight end in the draft that can replace Moreau's ability to competently block on the line and at a good level for his position. You don't have to be a George Kittle. You don't have to be a T.J. Hawkinson. You don't have to be a Travis Kelce, but you
Hmm.
do need to be better than Darren Waller when it comes to defending the rushers from blitzing off the edge. So we need to find somebody that can replace him there.
Yeah, and I mean, just looking at a list of top, tight end free agents. Um, yeah, I mean, there's a lot that comes to mind, a lot that are objectively better than Foster Moreau. Even though Foster Moreau on this list I'm looking at is um, he's top 10, so he's still pretty good in his own right. And I thought it was a little disappointing to hear that news about him. But you think of guys like Dalton Schultz, big contributor for the Cowboys. Mike Gesicki had a down year this past year, but in years previous, he's been really good. So you could argue in a different system with a new look, he could get back to his old ways. Hayden Hurst was in many ways, I would say, a security blanket for Joe Burrow, and obviously a very good offense. So I mean, it's possible that as far as like marquee receiving tight ends go, there's still a good amount out there. There's still a bunch, as I just mentioned, there's a handful of candidates out there. So if you're looking for a guy to complement Waller, and this doesn't have to be a super expensive deal, I would say it could just be like a 1 year deal and see how it goes, see how you like him before you sign him or lock him up to a major deal. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think Darnell Washington, obviously, we all saw that in the combine. His physical prowess, to say nothing of the potential that everyone's saying he has. Um, yeah, it is possible they could roll the dice on a guy like that. So, um, yeah, I mean, obviously to me, I would say blocking tight ends are a dime a dozen, so you could find those anywhere. That's probably not that big of a deal. It was just to me, Foster showed that he could really fit into that tight end one role when at certain points when Waller was out. So it was just this year he didn't exactly click in the same way with Josh McDaniels. So um, I would just say it would be important to get another receiving tight end who's reliable as a route runner and a receiver in terms of hands. Um, in case Waller A is injured again or B is too focused on rap and or his new wife Kelsey Plum or the WNBA at large to really make a contribution to this team. So we'll have to see how it goes. Al's Ghost, you there?
Yeah, I'm right here, dude.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
But yeah,
So,
I was
yeah,
reaching out to you guys. Not sure if you had one, like an outstanding question or something, Jeff. I think I could probably take one more. If not, I'll peace out and see you guys Wednesday.
Okay, yeah. I mean, if you just want, we were actually we were on your topic. We decided to talk about free agent or rookie tight ends that you think
Right.
might be good. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think we have a glaring hole at tight end, and it's kind of bizarre, right? Because we have like a top 5 tight end when he's healthy,
Mhm.
and I think Foster Moreau could fill in, okay. Although I would like him to improve as a receiver,
Mhm.
um, and I just can't count on Waller now, frankly.
Right.
I wish I could, but it's now been 2+ years of him missing a lot of games, and frankly, I haven't studied the rookie, tight ends coming out of college
Mhm.
to depth, so can't really speak to that. And but in terms of like free agents, I think if we could get some guy who has Waller's size and speed, which is incredibly rare to find, but
Mhm.
someone who fits that mold,
Hey,
I think that's what
hey,
we should.
how's goes?
What's up, Cortez?
I don't want to go get nobody in free agency on the offense. Maybe bring back Matt Collins, but that's it. We could go draft a tight end.
No, I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I think we probably stick
Bro,
to.
I'm good on the offense with any offensive player. Maybe a guard. Hey,
No,
do not be surprised if we go get Shaq Mason. My bad for jumping in. Let's go.
no, I think that makes sense, Cortez, and I tend to agree. I think we should save our our
Hey,
bullet.
just to let you guys all know too, I just got off the phone and supposedly he had a. I'll be back.
What? What?
Hopefully everything's all right. But
Yeah.
anyways, that's where I stand, fellas. Maybe we should start looking at tight ends a little bit more closely. I gotta head out, but I'll be in the chat, listening to you guys. Let me know what you guys think about the tight ends.
Cool. All right, man. Yeah.
Mhm.
Thanks for joining as always. Peace out,
Salute.
man. Salute. Cortez, you still there? Cortez? Okay, I guess not. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, like I said, we'll have to wait to see once again. It's another position. There's obviously not dire need. I believe I've heard the Raiders say that they still want Waller to be a big part of this offense. So having said that, you know, getting a big time receiving tight end is probably not their biggest concern. But like I said, it would be nice to have somebody to complement Waller, just in general, because like what we've seen with the two tight end systems, how potent they can be. So given that, um, it would be nice to get somebody who can be a reliable security blanket for our quarterback, whether that's Jimmy G or especially a rookie quarterback who is probably going to rely on high percentage throws when he's first starting in the NFL. And a big target like a tight end would help him out a lot in that regard. So I think it's definitely a valuable position, definitely something to not take for granted, and something, whether in free agency or the draft, to at least some extent prioritize and make sure you get a decent player at that position. So let's see. Okay. So we've pretty much hit upon all the topics
Are
we
we
were
gonna
going to
head
go
out?
through today. Yeah, I was thinking about
Hey, bro, my bad for getting all upset. I gotta support my quarterback. I supported all
good,
them
man.
greater. I
Yep.
previously supported all the quarterbacks. Jimmy G deserves all the love, regardless. He's a Raider.
He does, man, for sure. Yeah, no, it's all good, man. We're
Man, bro, I just feel like going back to before I got called. Now just going back to one of my buddies. He's in our basketball league.
Who?
Brian, the one that you're playing this week. So
cool.
so he just doesn't like Jimmy G. He thinks that why do this? I believe it's Jimmy G's gonna thrive in this offense because he's been in it for 3 years. He did good. He's won 4 games, no losses. And plus, he had the QBR rating at 119, I think. That's higher than Tom Brady in with New England. He had the top one. He had the top QBR rating with Josh McDaniels.
Jimmy G did, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said, just once again to circle back on what I said.
And going back to that, and I'm very happy that we didn't overpay nobody. Really, we didn't overpay the safety, Jimmy G. And people are saying that we're paying Jimmy G 22. Technically, it's only 16 because we gave him a signing bonus. We're going to when he comes in on Wednesday. I just want to hear his press conference, see what he has to say about this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he's pumped. I mean, he's probably going to be the starter, and that I'm sure he's pumped about that, and that's sort of.
And just to let you know, Jeff, I'm just tired of Rudy talking. Oh, this card, that. Let's move on. He's not here no more. Why are you still bringing him up? And bringing all these cheating and stuff. They're not gonna be like they were in New England. They're their own people. They're trying to prove that they're not like Belichick's telling them what to do. It's their own people. Like they want to be their own selves.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to see, how true that is. I would just say, like I said, what's tough with Jimmy G is that he's been able to play in two winning cultures, and he's been able to take advantage of that. And there have been situations where he's won, especially in San Francisco, where he didn't exactly light the world on fire. And when you factor that into when you take that as well as injury proneness into account, you're sort of dealing with a situation where it does sort of feel like a roll of the dice. But I think this will be a big opportunity for him. If he does succeed in it, it'll really prove that it did have a lot to do with him. The success that he's had in his previous two destinations. So. We'll have to see how he does.
Hey, just to end on this note too, Warriors are beating the Suns. Let's go.
Cool. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, the poor Suns. No, is there any last words you wanted to add before we end things for the night? Because I have to go in a couple minutes.
Yeah, I gotta head out too. But no, we kind of covered everything. Go Raiders. That's the only thing we haven't said yet.
Yep. Thank you, Jeff, again for letting me show up. I know I wasn't here the whole time. I got millions of things. My uncle just got out of the hospital, so I'm.
Oh, geez, man. Is he okay?
Yeah. He's fine.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. Yeah, man. And let us know if you need anything. That's a tough thing.
Yeah, bro. And just me. I don't know if you heard. Thursday, I lost my mom's brother.
Oh my God! No, I didn't hear. Sorry, man.
Yeah, with the heart attack, man. Them heart attacks run hardly bad in my side of the family.
Oh, really?
Yeah, young too. He was only 56, and my mom was 58 when she passed. Yeah, so now I gotta outlive them all.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Thank you again, Jeff. I'm out.
Yeah, dude, for sure, man.
All right, Noah, nice seeing you again, bro. Nice seeing you too, Jeff.
Yeah, nice seeing you. Good luck with everything, seriously.
Yeah, no problem, bro.
Wish everybody luck.
If Dustin doesn't show up again on Wednesday, we could run it again, but with different topics, bro. It's gonna be more funner on Wednesday because that's when we find out. Oh, one more thing, Jeff. So what happens if we go solid and this year, when Wednesday starts, can we go over the cap after Wednesday starts?
Oh, or do we have to be straight free agency simulator again?
No. Do we? So we got 20 million.
Yeah.
So when the new league year, we all have to be straight solid, or you get penalized. Can we go negative after the league year begins? Do you know anything about that? Or do we gotta stay in the positive?
I I think you can be in the negative. I'm not exactly sure how, but the rules
Because I think if you
are.
don't meet the thing, I think you get penalized because look what
Yeah.
happened to Miami. Did they lose a draft picks or some?
Well, that was because of tampering.
That was
Yeah.
tampering. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
different.
Or do you know anything about that, Noah?
No, I'm not really focused on capology, or I'm not a capologist, so I don't know the exact
Technology.
study
And just
definition
to
for it.
and I think contracts are going to drop. Like players aren't going to ask for big money starting tomorrow because
It's
everybody went on a spree. I think I sent you the thing, Jeff. Did I? Yeah. So the Broncos and readjust. So Thomason went to the Cleveland Browns, not to the Donkeys. I'm just going to clarify that. I overread it.
Oh,
When I
okay.
did it. Yeah, so we don't got to worry. So the Broncos spent free agent big spinners so far 219.3. The Bears were 121.5. The Falcons was 108. Niners were 46.1. The Raiders were 84.4. But the crazy thing is the Niners were only had 3 million. I don't get how they
Oh no,
got.
they're talking. That's overall over the entire contract duration. They just add all the total money of the contract signed. And that's how they added up. Like for us, we got 3 players today. We had Epps, Faison, and
Yeah.
Garoppolo. And
So
so
Garoppolo took majority of all that.
Right.
exactly, yeah.
But the thing is, how can the Niners have only 3 million in cap but could get Hargraves? That does.
I don't know. I would have to check it later, but
Yeah.
maybe there's something there. Maybe they did some loophole workaround, or maybe it's just not updated yet.
Because I checked over the cap, it's already updated for us, but the other teams aren't.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll have to see how it all plays out.
Yeah,
so,
it's crazy.
like I said, I have to go. So
Yeah, bro, go, bro. I know you're. All right, Jeff. I'll see you on Wednesday.
All right, bro. Peace out.
All right,
Salute,
later, bro.
Cortez. Thanks for joining.
Yep.
Salute as well, Noah. Thanks for joining as always.
Yes, sir.
So without further ado, thank you guys for all showing up for another great episode. Thank you to the mods in the chat. Thank you to the members of this panel. Thank you to our viewers for watching and commenting along with us throughout our episode. Like I said, we had another great episode as always. Just as a final reminder, if you could check the links in the comments section they just posted to our Discord, our YouTube channel, our Instagram, and our Twitch channel. If you could check out all those links, and for the YouTube channel, just like this video, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. That would be greatly appreciated. On our Instagram, if you could just follow us and give us some likes, that would be great as well. On our Twitch channel, if you could follow us and just keep up with us on that, that would be great as well. And finally, for our Discord, if you could join our Discord, that would be awesome as well. It's a great community. We got a whole bunch of things going on in there. We have a Raiders chat. We have a general chat, just talk about life. We have fantasy leagues, both NBA and NFL fantasy. We talk about the NFL at large. We also talk about the NBA, NHL, MLB, all different kinds of sports. We have free giveaways. We have movie nights. We have YouTube videos. We have sometimes we'll have gaming, voice chats, VCs. So we have all kinds of great stuff going on there as well. So if you could join our Discord as well, it's sort of the heart of what we do. That would be greatly appreciated as well. So like I said, if you could check out all those links for our YouTube channel, our Instagram, our Twitch, and our Discord, and just tap in with us on all those platforms, that would be greatly appreciated. Other than that, we will have our next episode of Raiders Live News Talk this coming Wednesday, the 16th at 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern time. So if you guys could tune into that, we're going to continue to talk about free agency and the like. So once again, tune in with us same time as today on Wednesday. So like I said, salute Raider Nation. Have a good one, and peace out. Have a great time. Have a great couple days until Wednesday.
Salute.
Salute, Noah. Thanks for joining as always.
I wake up to the sounds of the silence that allows for my mind to run around with my ear up to the ground. I'm searching to behold the stories that I told when my back is to the world. Was smiling when I turned.
Shape, thinking out of box, I'm an astronaut. I'm blasted off the planet, rocking cause catastrophe, and it matters more because I had it. Now I had a thought about wreaking havoc on an opposition, kinda shocking. They want a static with position. I'm automatic, quarterback, I ain't talking shit.
Salute, y'all. Have a good one.